Sam, welcome to SCAD Lacoste, and congratulations on your Outstanding Achievement Award for Back to Black.
I'm so proud. Thank you so much.
Well, you're no stranger to taking on beloved cultural icons. You chronicled a young John Lennon and now Amy Winehouse. I heard that you got to hear Amy sing at an open mic.
I think she was around 17. And it was open mic in Ronnie Scott's Jazz Cafe, and it was a sort of young up-and-coming voices. And a friend of mine next to me was like, that voice, that power, she's going to be huge. Mm-hmm. But I never saw her live past that.
Maybe it was meant to be.
Yeah, I know, you wonder.
Mm-hmm. You had a grueling shooting schedule for Back to Black with 56 locations in 45 days. How do you maintain your energy and your focus with such a demanding and challenging and intense assignments? Because I think that applies to a lot of professions.
Yeah, I think, Back to Black was quite intense with constant moving of locations, but there was something, sometimes you have the wind at your back.
Yes.
And this one really felt like we had the wind at our back. And I think because everyone, collaboratively felt so invested in this. They really wanted to feel like we were serving Amy Winehouse well in the story, and everybody felt like they had come on board with an enthusiasm and an energy to support that. And I think for me, I decided to make the film through her perspective and used her lyrics and all her notebooks to sort of tell the story. Just sort of working intensely with the actors and rehearsing that period before stepping on set us up well to move at that pace. A Million Little Pieces, the film I did before, we filmed in 20 days.
20 days.
so I felt like I had double this time, so I felt
You're just kind of like, plenty of time.
So I think it's all perspective, I just felt very clear the story I was going to tell. I think it's problematic shooting a tight schedule when you're like, I don't know, how should we shoot this today? Let's think, let's talk it through. We didn't have that time.
No.
I had to really come on with a very clear path.
No, that's wonderful.
Photographers are there for every episode in the Winehouse soap
The
opera.
constant stalking is something most of us don't have to live with. As a person in the public eye yourself, and also with a family and private life, I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Well, I felt like so much of her life was, looking from the outside in a sort of voyeuristic way.
Yes.
And living in London, I felt like I was living in real time through, everything, including her demise, and everything was so documented. And it was an important part of the movie to show in a way that when I was researching, I could look at, any given day in a certain period of her life, and I could see the same picture from 15 different angles, which obviously then, if you flip that means invariably 15 men, always with their cameras documenting every single move, and how that must have felt as a vulnerable young woman.
We've seen that kind of hunted and hunter and the paparazzi and the subjects with Amy, but also other women figures around the world.
Yeah. The other sort of powerful things, I think, is that something like Alcoholics Anonymous is anonymous, and I don't think Amy ever had anonymity, so it sort of shows how it was near impossible for her to recover without that anonymity.
Well, I'm sure wellness is very important to you in your life, and you have done 2 films now about addiction. Do you hope to subtly avert disaster in someone's life?
I think one of the most important things for me was just to sort of have a sense of, humanity around set, and to discuss it and hope that we're sort of edging forward into understanding and creating the safety nets rather than, sort of pulling them away more. It felt like during her lifetime, I didn't feel so educated around that, and I feel now that it's more and more of a discussion. People around her are often villainized as part of her downfall, but I felt like the villains of the movie needed to be addiction and paparazzi.
Yes.
And the people around her are more complex. They're also struggling with issues. So it was about sort of humanizing a situation as well, and not just judging that, I think.
And you showed her more as a real person than she was portrayed even during her lifetime, I think.
Yeah. What's really important to know for every one of you as filmmakers or aspiring actors or anything is that you are a unique, independent person with your own thoughts. So you have to there's no right or wrong way, there's your way, and that is the most important thing I can say.
You talked to the students today about short films, and they're so essential to building a reputation and a resume. What would you recommend to young directors and writers who have that as an idea to perhaps create a short film? I mean, that can be harder than a longer film sometimes.
It's harder in a way when you're trying to compress an idea into a 15-minute short film, and how to structure that, but it's an excellent exercise in storytelling, because if you can tell a story that engages people in that short space of time, it's a powerful calling card for a feature length to say, actually, if I can do this, I can certainly do that. But I think the advice is, especially whilst at college, you can collaborate with people around you. You can find your writer and talk about, what you'd like to say, and your production designer, and to be able to sort of pull all those people together is amazing, because when you're on the outside, it's very different. And also just, on a practical level, there are so many short film festivals, which if you make it for under 15 minutes, that's usually the criteria length of time, and then you're sort of well on your way to also then meeting more of a community at the film festival. So it sets you up really well.
Our students, have access to actors with then fellow students and costume designers and production designers.
And watch as many short films as well.
Yes,
if you can.
That's a good idea.
Because then you can sort of see which ones work and which ones don't and why, and it gives you a sort of a good understanding.
Well, thank you for taking so much time with our students today, and for this compelling film honoring one of the century's most missed artists. Can't wait to see what subject you tackle next, and I hope you'll visit us in Savannah or Atlanta in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.